Prick up your ears.
The sound of DTM.
My car sounds like music to my ears.
My favorite sound when the car is leaving the pits.
My favorite sound, the cheering of the fans.
Crank it up. My favorite sound? The silence before the lights go green.
Full blast.
Downshifting from full speed. When I rev up my engine to its absolute limit. Too close to cool. Cheering on the podium.
Be aware.
It's gonna be loud.
Hello and welcome to the Lausitzring. It's the third race weekend and today is the second race. We already saw a very exciting race yesterday and today obviously we have another one coming up, and I'm here with Christian Vitores, who did a great qualifying with P2. However, because of blocking Matthias Ekström, you were penalized and are now starting in P7. Are you really upset about that? Is that going to ruin your race, or are you just going to make the best out of it?
Well, I have to make the best out of it, but obviously the chances of winning the race is much lower from P7. But we try our best. The car is very fast here. We have been strong all weekend, and I just give it everything, and maybe we can get onto the podium.
But do you think it was fair, the penalty?
To be honest, I don't think it's fair. It wasn't really a blocking. I mean, Eki wasn't on a fast lap, so he did a faster lap afterwards. So I think it's not fair for penalizing me, but that's how it is. It's not in our hands, but yeah, I have to do the best from P7 now.
Absolutely, push hard. Thank you very much, Christian Vitores. And before we start the race now, let's have a look back at yesterday. Dave?
Thank you very much, Verena, here at the Euro Speedway at Lausitzring. Then race number one was about to get underway under the grandstands. Huge crowds to enjoy. Marco Wittmann there in the M4 DTM. Jamie Green then would be going from P2, and Miguel Molina in the Audi RS5 DTM going from P1. The tension, as always, in the garages was great across Audi, across BMW and Mercedes-Benz as well. The apprehension before the lights went out and we were away and racing this race number 5, and Jamie Green with the inside line going towards turn number 1. Was he going to make it his own? Cars there absolutely side by side. Jamie Green remained absolutely committed and was able to put that orange Audi into P1 ahead of Miguel Molina then, as they went through the S section and then returned onto the part of the original oval here at the Lausitzring. So it was Green, Molina, then it was Robert Wickens, the best of the Mercedes to show. Martin Tomczyk sadly didn't last long in the BMW. His car out following a collision with damage to that car. That saw him out. Molina wasn't happy with P2 and was always going to try and wrestle that P1 back, and he did that by getting past Jamie Green into turn 1, which is by far and away the best place for overtaking here at the Lausitzring, and he did it with style, that's for sure, and went from P2 to P1 through turn number 1. Robert Wickens was under pressure for sure from Marco Wittmann closing the door very abruptly there to deny Marco Wittmann that opportunity. Eduardo Mortara here on Timo Glock. And here is Mike Rockenfeller and Antonio Felix da Costa, but that shows you how easy it is to get it wrong through turn 1 as well. no place gained. This is how close they get to the wall then at turn number 5. Eduardo Mortara's door mirror really taking rather a bash, and big battle between the two Muka Motorsport Mercedes-Benz cars, as you can see. But for Miguel Molina, it was going to be race win number 2 in his DTM career as he took the checkered flag. Jamie Green was P2, and then P3 going the way of Robert Wickens. Okay, so Miguel Molina, a winner yesterday with Verena now.
So yesterday, Miguel, you were really excited, obviously, about winning the race. Today, however, you're starting in P14. How can that be? Yesterday you aced it, and today, why?
That shows that the DTM is so competitive. Actually, we didn't change so much from yesterday, and today, yeah, like you said, we are in P14. So we knew that the championship is so close. It's only 2 tenths to the top 3. So everything should be perfect like it was yesterday. So today we will try to just improve our position and try to score some more points.
I heard something about the weather possibly changing. Are you hoping for that maybe?
It doesn't look like, because now it's so hot here, but actually also this morning was a small chance, like 5 kilometers from here was raining. So everything can happen, but we will be ready for any conditions.
I'm sure. Best of luck, Miguel Molina. Thank you, and back to you guys.
Thanks very much. Verena talking to Miguel then. Here comes the grid in full for you for the next race. It's Lucas Auer, pole position, and alongside him now is Timo Glock.
So on to the second row of the grid, we got Robert Wickens for Mercedes and Mike Rockenfeller, 19th in the race yesterday, 4th on the grid today.
Gary Paffett will be hoping for better things from P5, and Jamie Green is on P6.
5-place grid penalty, as you heard, for Christian Vittoris. So he's 7th on the grid. Marco Wittmann, who was 4th in the race yesterday, is alongside.
Then we find Matthias Ekstrom going from P9, and Tom Blomqvist, the Brit, is P10 on the grid for race 2.
6th row of the grid, we got Maximilian Gotz, who was on the podium at the 24-hour race last weekend. Maxime Martin alongside him.
Then we go to the 7th row, we find Bruno Spengler and yesterday's winner, Miguel Molina.
And next up, Nico Muller starts 15th, Esteban Ocon starts 16th.
Then we find Antonio Felix da Costa and Daniel Juncadella.
Then the 10th row of the grid, Augusto Farfus having a nightmare weekend. Adrian Tombe will start alongside him.
Paul Di Resta is P21, Eduardo Mortara P22. And the final row of the grid is Timo Scheider and Martin Tomczyk. Pole sitter is Lucas Auer, and he is with Verena now.
He certainly is with me, Mr. Pretty in Pink, and congratulations to a fantastic qualifying, your 2nd pole position in your career, and your team was celebrating you like you won the championship. I guess all the hard work paid off. Are you excited about this race, and do you think you might be able to get your first victory in the career?
Yes, first big thanks to Mücke and Mercedes, incredible job. And yeah, I think I have the potential to win this race, but of course will be long. Start, first lap will be very important. So let's see.
All right, well, best of luck, Lucas, and back to you guys.
Well, he's supremely confident, isn't he? And why shouldn't he be? He's done all the hard work. He's put the car on pole position, Lucas Auer. There is Dieter Gas from Audi then. And shaking hands with Matthias Ekstrom there. And the Matthias Ekstrom car going from P9 on the grid. There is Jamie Green, who is going from P6 in his Audi RS5 DTM. Super slow-mo of Jamie Green then. There is his car, the all-orange Audi. What can Jamie Green do from P6 on the grid? And Gary Paffett having a better time of it today, Chris, by qualifying the car on P5.
That's right, he's been struggling all weekend long, only 14th in the race yesterday. He's been down in most of the free practice sessions, but put in a very good lap late on. So it's an all British 3rd row of the grid with Gary Paffett, the 05 champion, and Jamie Green is still looking for his first title. 2 of the most established drivers alongside Matthias Ekstrom and Timo Scheider on the DTM grid. So 2nd race of the weekend about to get underway as the cars clamber into their cars now.
it's Lausitzring, a fantastic circuit and a huge crowd to enjoy. The motorsport festival that has been put together. There is the tri-oval and of course the infield section that is used for DTM. The festival has included not only DTM but also the ADAC GT Masters and Formula 4 and Porsche Carrera Cup and motorbikes as well, and that's why those grandstands are as full as they are. The grid then is Auer and Glock, then it's Wickens and Rockefeller, Patrick Green, Vitoris Wittmann, Ekstrom Blomqvist, then Maximilian Goetz and Maxime Martin on the sixth row of the grid before we find Spengler Molina, yesterday's race winner, Nico Muller, Esteban Ocon, Felix da Costa, Junker Deya, Farfus Tombe, Paul de Resta, Mortara Scheider and Martin Tomczyk. Jens Marquardt, head of BMW, is alongside Verena Reitz.
Jens Marquardt, 3 BMWs in the top 10, and Timo Glock luckily is now P2. So considering the fact that this is not BMW's favorite racetrack, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good starting point, but obviously now we have a long race, 1 hour to go with a pit stop in between, and now we have to get everything right, like in qualifying. Yeah, it's super tight. It's definitely not our favorite track here. And yesterday in the race we were struggling. The pace in the race wasn't as good as in qualifying, but we'll have to see today. Hopefully with 2 shorter stints, it's a bit better for us regarding tire performance, and then we'll see. The good weather here, the massive crowd is just incredible, and I think that's motivation.
Absolutely. Best of luck. Thank you very much, Jens Marquardt, and back to you guys.
So Jens Marquardt finding the big crowd and the great weather a motivating force. And something that he was saying there, Chris, which is quite important, is the fact that, 2 stints because of the mandatory pit stop and tyre wear, of course. I mean, track temperature is going to be very high, isn't it?
Yeah, it brings the team in, doesn't it, this longer race, and the strategy becomes an element as well. So, yeah, very much looking forward to this one. It was tight out there yesterday, but I think we'll get more overtaking, more changes of position. But BMW, as we heard, not their favourite track. You have to go back to 2012, Bruno Spengler's victory, the last time a BMW won. Audi dominated last year. Jamie Green won both of the races. They filled all 6 podium places across the 2 races. But historically, Mercedes have gone well here. Pascal Wehrlein, who's now racing, of course, in Formula 1. Last year's DTM champion won here in 2014. Gary Paffett won for Mercedes in 2013 as well. But who knows this year, Dave, because we've had 6 qualifying sessions. Lucas Auer has become the 6th different pole sitter. We've had 5 races so far this year. 5 different race winners, and there's only 4 points covering the top 4 in the championship standings, with Marco Wittmann moving up into the points lead yesterday with his 4th place finish onto 47 points, 3 points clear of Edo Mortara. Paul de Resta, having a nightmare weekend so far, is on 43 points, the same as Robert Wickens. They are joint 3rd in the standings.
And of course, Robert Wickens in a very advantageous starting position, isn't he, for this particular race? So be very, very interesting to see how it pans out. Well, there is the Drivers' Championship that you were just indeed talking about. De Resta and Wickens, the 2 Mercedes drivers there, tied on points on 43. Before we see Maxime Martin and Timo Glock, and it is Marco Wittmann then at the head of the points chart on 47 points, and Marco Wittmann going from P8 on the grid, just behind Christian Vitoris, who of course has been put back following a blocking during qualifying today, where basically he was it's a very short pit lane out.
Yeah.
Once you rejoin the circuit, and you'll see this a little bit later when we get into the pit stops, and basically he filtered out ahead of Matthias Ekstrom, who was supposedly on a hot lap, and that impeded his progress, and we could see the gesticulation, I think, from Matthias Ekstrom during the qualifying as to how unhappy he was about that move. So there we are, the race not far from getting underway here at the Lausitzring. The grid has been cleared. It's a fantastic spectacle. Quiet contemplation there for Jamie Green inside his Audi, going from P6 on the grid for the Brit driver, and there you can see the teams making their way down the pit lane right now. And it's Timo Glock that we're on board with next, and he already has his hands on the steering wheel, ready for this race to get underway. The longer of the 2 DTM races across any given weekend, and Gary Paffett there also going from P5. So from the starter's rostrum then, the cars are released, and this is when the anticipation and the excitement really starts to build.
Absolutely right. Just to update you on the weights as well, which changed the performance weights, the success ballast after qualifying earlier on today. So the Mercedes and the BMW had 5 kilograms added. The Audi, which didn't go so well by and large, was the third fastest brand. It's 5 kilograms taken away. So all the cars are fairly similar now. The heaviest car is the BMW at 1,122.5 kilograms. It's 2.5 kilograms heavier than the Audis. And then the lightest car is the Mercedes, which is on 1,115 kilograms, so 7.5 kilograms lighter than the BMW, 5 kilograms lighter than the Audi. So Edo Mortara, the Italian, won round 1. Paul di Resta from Great Britain won round 2. Both races at Hockenheim. Marco Wittmann won for BMW, the German driver, at Spielberg. The first race of that weekend. Timo Glock for BMW won the second race at Spielberg, and yesterday we had the first victory of the season for Miguel Molina. Is it going to be 6 from 6? Let's find out the expert opinion of somebody who knows all about winning races. Verena, Bernd Schneider is down there with you, and well done to him for his 24-hour success last weekend.
Exactly, let's congratulate him. Congratulations to winning the 24 hours race, and at the Nürburgring, that was a fantastic job you did. You also missed a DTM. You know what it's like to win races. What do you expect today for the race?
Honestly, I expect a really hard race, like always, and I also cross my fingers very much for Lukas Auer and the Mücke team, because they were fast the whole weekend, and I really would be very happy for him if they could win the home race here at Lausitzring.
But it's definitely going to be exciting, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think it will be very tough. You could see already all other races before. The start is very dramatic, and you have to be in front in first corner. And I will see, and I cross my finger, everything going to go right in the first 2 corners.
All right, thank you so much, Bernd Schneider. Enjoy the race, and back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Verena. Well done for catching up with Bernd Schneider. Great to have him here. Of course, 44 degrees track temperature, very nearly 43.8. And there is the sweltering audience, and there is our pole sitter, Lukas Auer. Bernd's absolutely right. The pinch point is turn number 1, isn't it? 24 cars thundering into that turn. As we go into the garages of Audi, first of all, then there's Uli Fritz, right centre picture here at Mercedes-Benz. And into the BMW garage as well, as Jens Marquardt takes a back step there and quietly contemplates the start of this race. We throw the lights to the top of the screen for you. This is DTM about to get underway. Race 2 here at the Lausitzring. 1 light, 2 lights, 3, 4, 5. When it's lights out, we go racing. Lukas Auer with a good start. He'll dive to the inside to try and protect that inside line going into turn 1. Look at Robert Wickens go. Can he get the move on Timo Glock into the first turn? Gary Paffett through turn 1 as well. Are we going to get away with it with no carnage, no damage? Certainly looks that way. Lukas Auer and Robert Wickens then 1 and 2. As they return on to part of the oval section of the circuit now. Matthias Ekstrom making a move as well. Big lock up there from Robert Wickens as they go back onto the infield. But Lukas Auer is leading this race. Christian Vittoris, another one trying to make a move also. So it's Auer, Wickens, Glock, and then it's Gary Paffett, P4.
That's right, yeah, just keeping an eye on Vittoris as well, who should have been on the front row of the grid, but for that penalty. He was 7th through the first corner, but Matthias Ekstrom has got past him. He's got Marco Wittmann behind him as well. So Vittoris has dropped down to 8th position. Great start, though, from Paffett to squeeze up into 4th place, getting ahead of Mike Rockenfeller. Auer, though, doing everything that's been asked of him so far. Has been quick all weekend long. Can the younger Austrian, formerly a front-runner in the Formula 3 European Championship, twice 4th in that championship, still only 21 years of age. Can he win the race here? Still a long way to go, an hour, but he's made the perfect first lap of the race. DRS now enabled after the first lap. Robert Wickens in 2nd place, Timo Glock 3rd, Gary Paffett 4th, Rockenfeller 5th, Jamie Green stays where he starts in 6th, Ekstrom up to 7th, and then Vittoris 8th.
Mike Rockefeller's getting a drive-through penalty for jumping the start. We saw on screen that it was being investigated. He has been deemed to have jumped the start, so his P5 position will not be that after he serves, of course, that drive-through penalty. What Lucas Auer is desperately trying to do now is make sure that he can make sure that Robert Wickens isn't within the DRS window. As DRS is enabled, he needs to get up the road, and at the moment Lucas Auer doing a fantastic job, and Robert Wickens is P2, Timo Glock P3, Gary Paffett now P4, and then Mike Rockefeller academically P5 because he has got that drive-through penalty. We're on board with Timo Glock now P3, chasing down Robert Wickens. So looking back at the Matthias Ekstrom car, we were then from the Jamie Green machine. This the longer race, and Christian Vittoris now, this fantastic splitter cam that we can bring you. He's right behind the Matthias Ekstrom Audi, as you can see, and here comes Mike Rockefeller early doors to serve that drive-through penalty, get it done and dusted and out of the way so that Mike Rockefeller can get back out on track once again.
So Rocky, in his disappointing season so far, continues. This is, look at him, second back on the right. Yeah, he just crept, didn't he? The timing sensors picked that up. He didn't actually do much good in the end. He stopped the car and ended up losing a place into turn 1, so he didn't jump the start as such in terms of gaining an advantage, but he crept over his line, he triggered the sensor off, and that's enough, I'm afraid, to see him fall to the back of the field. So a real shame for the 2013 champion. He'll keep fighting though, but at the head of the field, it's Lucas Auer now, only 0.6 of a second clear of Robert Wickens, so the gap's come down by 0.3 of a second there. You can see the two Mercedes much closer together. Timo Glock, one of the 5 different race winners we've had so far this season, looking good in 3rd place. Gary Paffett is about 0.6 behind him 4th.
So there is Lucas Auer, and as Chris has said, Lucas Auer and Robert Wickens, and Gary Paffett is definitely one to keep an eye on here. Fastest sector 1 of anyone, Jamie Green, just looking at the timing screen as we go back on board with Gary Paffett momentarily, and Jamie Green, of course, right behind. The two Brits together there, P4 and P5. So the rest of the cars all come through. And Miguel Molina, bear in mind, yesterday's race winner down there in P19. We're on board with Bruno Spengler now, who is P12, as we cross the timing line for another lap completed. 0.8 of a second between Lucas Auer and Robert Wickens, P1 and P2. Then it's Timo Glock in P3. Now, what we've got here is the situation where we've got two Mercedes at the front, and they're not going to squabble amongst themselves and benefit Timo Glock. But of course, Gary Paffett, another one of those Mercedes drivers, wants certainly to get into those podium positions. Early stages of the race, though, it very nearly 4.5 minutes done and dusted. That's all of this hour-long race plus 1 lap. Lucas Auer then leads the race.
Gary Paffett's not had a podium so far this year. Got mightily close in the second race at Hockenheim. He was penalised when he was very much in the lead battle with Paul di Resta for an unsafe release during the pit stops, and then stormed his way back through the order with a great drive to 4th place. Had it been another lap in the race, he might just have got on the podium. Bruno Spengler, though, looking much more racy today than yesterday in that BMW, just outside the points at the moment for the 2012 champion, the Canadian. There he is in the black BMW. You go on board with him now. These fantastic shots. Lots of very tight technical second gear corners. Not that demanding in terms of high speed on the tyres, on the cars, on the drivers, but it's very easy to lose time when you lose traction out of those corners and ruin your lap time. So they're not the most thrilling of corners, but they're very, very important corners as the top two come through. Still 0.6 of a second, the difference between them. But Robert Wickens, I think, under braking, closing back up to the race leader.
Well, he's certainly taken another couple of tenths out of the margin that Lucas Auer had. So Robert Wickens getting ever closer. We go on board with Jamie Green now, the Audi racer that is running in P5. He's got his Gary Paffett ahead of him, another British driver as the target for him. And that's very much what Jamie Green is looking at. The back end of the Gary Paffett car is his target right now. I'd like to move from P5 to P4. We're looking back at Matthias Ekstrom from the back end of the Jamie Green car now. There is our race leader, Lucas Auer, going through DRS, of course.
If sector 2 is fine, there's no need for DRS this lap. If sector 2 fine, you used, I saw.
So Matthias Ekstrom being advised that he doesn't need his DRS through sector 2. And we're on board with Matthias Ekstrom now. As you can see, chasing down the Jamie Green car ahead. Two Audis together there, and Green in turn is right on the back of Gary Paffett now, who of course is chasing Timo Glock but is very conscious of the fact that he's got the Audi of Jamie Green right behind him as well, and focusing on having to defend as well as attack. So Lucas Auer crosses the timing line now and pulls out 3/10 over Robert Wickens. So
because he's just at the fastest lap of the race.
Okay.
That's a way to come back, isn't it? 1:18.3. Lucas Auer driving like somebody who's used to being at the front of DTM races. In fact, he's not yet finished on the podium in his first season and a bit of the championship. A couple of sixth-place finishes at the Red Bull Ring and Nürburgring is best.
Don't worry about Matthias.
So don't worry about Matthias, Jamie Green being told. Therefore, focus on his job.
Means the Audis are going to try and work together, doesn't it?
Yes.
To try and stay with these Mercedes. Jamie's looking for his third podium on the bounce after failing to score the first 3 rounds of the championship, and he's looking pretty handily set there, isn't he? Certainly hanging on to the tail of Gary Paffett, I'd say.
I think I would agree with you. Christian Vittoris then, as we see a replay of the start, and the start that Mike Rockenfeller got penalised. And the irony is a jump start often doesn't help you at all, and it certainly didn't with Mike Rockenfeller, so almost getting the double penalty really. Jamie Green all over the back of the car there. There was a little lock-up from Gary Paffett going into turn 1, but Lucas Auer did everything that he needed to do to make sure that his pole position was converted to the race lead as they made their way through turns 1, 2 and 3. And from on board, the revs rise then for heavy braking, and there's that slight lock-up from the Paffett car. Very tight through turn 1. Rocky and Jamie Green absolutely together. Oh, very nearly a touch on the Maximilian Goertz car. In fact, there was a touch, wasn't there, between Bruno Spengler and Maximilian Goertz. That's how close it gets.
That's precision driving, isn't it?
Yeah.
This was a good start from Gary Paffett, wasn't it? Just about to see Rocky in his mirror, can't you?
Yeah.
The yellow and green Audi. Nicely done. Meanwhile, on track, Lucas Auer is absolutely flying. He's just set a second consecutive fastest lap of the race. I think Davey's about to get a third. New fastest times in sectors 1 and 2.
Now, from whose car did that piece fly off? But okay, back to Lucas Auer then, doing a fantastic job out front, and he's opened up a margin of 1.6 seconds over Robert Wickens. And Robert Wickens having to think about the fact that Timo Glock is right behind him. But look at this, Lucas Auer is checking out in the early stages of this race, isn't he? Absolutely brilliant driving from Lucas Auer. There's the start reaction graphic, and it was Rocky then with that full start, jump start, and Augusto Farfus then is spun and out.
I think Molyneux was possibly the one cheating off the road in the background, but kept going.
Right.
Let's have a look. Yeah, it was. And he was attempting to get through. Yesterday's winner couldn't find a gap. Right into the back of the Farfus BMW. Round and round and round it went. And off down the escape road. So as he went one way down the inside.
Green flag.
As he went down the inside and then pulled back to the outside, he just nicked the back of the car, didn't he?
Yeah.
Accidental, but just got too close.
Oh.
He lifted clear off the tarmac then,
Yes.
didn't he? So there's once around, 360. Twice around for a 720 in a minute.
Well, Molyneux from hero to zero then. So Farfus now out of that race. As you say, the car actually lifted off the ground. Here we can see it again. Absolutely nothing intentional by Molyneux. He was just changing direction, wasn't he? But it was a bit too close.
Just got too close. I guess as Farfus was hitting the brakes, maybe he wasn't expecting him to hit the brakes just at that split second. But when you're driving a centimetre or less from somebody at these speeds, and they're doing 250 plus kilometres an hour down that part of the circuit, then these things can happen. That incident is being investigated at the moment, as you'd probably expect, by the stewards.
Well, inside the garage, you can imagine as Augusto Farfus then brings the car and nurses the car back to the pit lane. Well, took quite an impact on the concrete, didn't it? So confirmation then that is under investigation. Whoa, Lucas Auer just pushing it so very hard, just getting the back end almost onto the gravel there. He's got a 1.7 second margin of Robert Wickens at the moment. Lucas Auer doing a great job in terms of leading this racing car, number 22. There's Gary Paffett, who continues to keep the Jamie Green car at bay. We go on board with Jamie Green, who is running in P5. He's got the
Lucas, keep pushing. Good pace, keep pushing.
Got the fellow Brit driver Gary Paffett ahead of him. And Matthias Ekstrom, who Jamie Green has been told not to worry about. So he's getting mighty close, though, Chris.
Yeah.
Whether we've missed another radio message which suddenly said, well, actually do worry about him.
The top 8 have made a breakthrough now because Wittmann is at the back of the lead group, if you like. And then you've got 4 seconds back to Tom Blomqvist, who's running in 9th place, the former runner-up in the Formula 3 European Championship. So you can see the lead group of 8, and then there'll be a big old gap behind. Drive-through penalty for Miguel Molina for causing a collision in that hit on the back of the BMW of Augusto Farfus. So, as you say, great day yesterday, terrible day today.
Yeah, so Molina getting that drive-through penalty, and whilst there was nothing malicious in it, but absolutely the right penalty there. We're on board with Matthias Ekstrom then. Heading after Jamie Green. Matthias Ekstrom running in P6. Jamie Green ahead of him is P5. Then Gary Paffett ahead of Green in the Mercedes is P4 at the moment. Still in the points is Maximilian Goertz, who's still able to hold Bruno Spengler at bay. Just looking back at the P10, P11 position. But here is Gary Paffett then. Eyes on the mirror to see where Jamie Green is and what Jamie is doing. Jamie just takes a glancing look at the inside, but Gary has it covered, and I don't actually think Jamie was quite close enough to be able to do anything there through turn 1. But undoubtedly the Audis have got the speed and measure almost the Mercedes. But of course Gary is slipping back from Timo Glock because he is having to focus on defending. There's the damaged front end of the Miguel Molina car, serving his drive-through penalty for causing an avoidable collision. What a collision that was. Farfus, I don't think, has rejoined, has he, Chris?
No, still in the pits.
There, the pirouetting Augusto Farfus car, which was positively launched, really, wasn't it, by Miguel Molina, as he just changed direction and just clipped the back end of the car of Augusto Farfus. So, had a torrid weekend as Farfus, hasn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, really. Probably just wants to get out of here and get back on the plains. It's just nothing's gone his way this weekend. Another fastest first sector on this lap for Lucas Auer, the race leader. He's built his lead to 1.9 seconds now over number 6, Robert Wickens. You're on board with Matthias Ekstrom, who's in 6th place. And just keeping a watchful eye on Jamie Green in the orange Audi, who's not as close this time into turn 1 as he was on the last lap, is he? Onto the tail of Gary Paffett. He's a bit deep into the corner then, so Matthias Ekstrom through turns 2, 3 and 4 will be able to reel in the fellow Audi driver and get a little bit closer to him. And nice shot that as the cars whistle back onto the oval circuit on the exit to turn 5 and ran as close as they dare to the concrete wall.
So on board with Matthias Ekstrom then, as we look back at his car now from the back end of the Jamie Green machine. There is our race leader, Lucas Auer, doing a fantastic job out front. 2.2 seconds the margin he has over Robert Wickens. Absolutely fantastic pace. And on board the Muka Motorsport garage there is Peter Muka that we could see. And it's his young charger there, Lucas Auer, doing a great job, Chris.
He is, yeah, looking comfortable, looking confident, and bearing in mind the Austrian hadn't scored any points at all coming into this weekend. He's looked very, very solid. Muka Motorsport clearly with a well set up car here, the Mercedes working well. And Lucas Auer, as we said, where some Mercedes drivers have struggled, particularly on Friday and yesterday, Lucas has always been up there either at the top of the times in practice sessions or near the top of the times. 2.5 seconds clear now of Wickens, the Canadian driver, then Glock, the best of the BMWs, 3rd, Gary Paffett, looking more comfortable now in 4th place from Jamie Green. Jamie had his best season ever in DTM last year. 11 years ago, he started the championship as a Mercedes driver initially in 2005, but 4 wins last year, 2nd place in the championship, and very much at home with his team here. Moved to Audi a couple of years ago. He's with the Hoffman Group car now, and the team he seems to have settled into very well. So he is just pulling away from Matthias Ekström, but in turn I think falling away from the Mercedes ahead of him.
So Paffett then running in P4, but seemingly not able to encroach on Timo Glock at the moment. Glock, the lone BMW up there, isn't he, in P3. Robert Wickens, P2. Some 2.5 seconds behind our race leader, Lucas Auer. We're on board with Matthias Ekström once again, who's running in P6, and is last time over a timing line was a full second behind Jamie Green. The orange car you can see through the windshield ahead of you. Keep an eye on Matthias Ekström's feet there as he works this car.
Push 2 more laps on that tires. Push 2 more laps on that tires.
So Timo Glock being told to push. And there he is. And Jamie Green getting closer now to Gary Paffett.
That was a better lap, wasn't it? And yeah, almost in striking distance now. 4th and 5th place, these two cars, the two British drivers. 2005 champion Gary Paffett, multiple championship runner-up. Former, for a long time as well, reserve driver and test driver for McLaren Formula 1 team. Jamie Green pushing on. Then it's Ekström in 6th place. Incredibly, it's 9 years now since he last won the championship back in 07, his second title. But he's still there. Christian Vittoris is still there in the mix as well, isn't he? In the second of the bright pink Muka Motorsport cars. Teams start to make their preparations now, getting ready for the mandatory pit stop.
Yes, and we've seen lots of things that have happened as part of a pit stop that can change the face of any given race. So Matthias Ekström we're back on board with now. Auer, Wickens, Glock, Paffett, Green. Then it is Matthias Ekström running in P6 before we find Christian Vittoris, Marco Wittmann, Maximilian Goertz and Bruno Spengler rounding out the top 10. So there's Lucas Auer crossing the timing line then. And he has a full 3.2 second margin over Robert Wickens. The pace that Lucas Auer has in that Muka car is extraordinary as Jamie Green closes on to the back of Gary Paffett, but again, not close enough to try and move Paffett away from P4 and take over that position. Green not able to do so yet, and for my money, Gary's getting just a little bit closer to Timo Glock now.
Yes, pushing each other on this pair, aren't they? A bit further back, the other British driver, Tom Blomqvist, he's lost a couple of places. He's lost 3, in fact. Götz, Spengler and Muller now have all got past him. So he's gone from 9th down to 12th place and out of the points, Tom Blomqvist. But here's his battle for 4th place. Last time around, Jamie Green set a lap time 1 minute 18.787, was a fraction, half a tenth slower than the Mercedes of Gary Paffett. But on this lap, it looks a bit closer. Eki on board is watching from 6th place and just correcting the car here. This V8 produces 570 brake horsepower. Into the middle 20 minutes of the race is where the mandatory pit stops must happen. And so we're 19 seconds away from that now. And in there will come
Robert Wickens.
Pit stop lights, pit stop lights.
Timo Glock both in then. Robert Wickens deciding that losing time to Lucas Auer as the gap was being increased. He's decided to come in. Also coming in is Tom Blomqvist. There is Timo Glock. So Robert Wickens pulls in. Team go to work. Seemingly a quick stop from the team for Robert Wickens. He's out again. And a slight problem there with the Timo Glock. Won a 4.4 second time, and that's not a quick time. So a slow stop for Timo Glock. He had no hope of vaulting Robert Wickens in that pit stop. Sadly, it was the left-hand rear that was slow. Let's look at it again, Chris. Teams rehearse and practice and rehearse and practice. That's where they were slow. Was that, as you look at the screen, right-hand rear that was slow to go back on. So Lucas Auer staying out there with a clear track ahead of him and a jolly clear track behind him as well, because of course now, due to those coming in, Paffett was in P2. He's now coming in and has released himself from that battle with Jamie Green. So need a good stop here, don't we, from the ART team for Gary Paffett. So crawling seemingly down the pit lane. We throw the graphics on the track map to the right-hand side of the screen for you so you can follow what is going on. And Paffett in now. Hopefully we'll throw the clock on this one. Indeed we do. Camera goes round. 3.1, that's not shabby.
That'll do,
We've
won't
seen
it?
better, but it's not shabby.
Yeah, that'll do. Marco Wittmann was in as well in the BMW, so he's released back out now. Have to stick to an 80 km/h speed limit, which must feel absolutely pedestrian in one of those cars. Gary Paffett goes out, and we think he's got out ahead of Timo Glock, yeah, because of that slow pit stop. So Timo Glock pushed back a position, maybe more when others make their pit stops as well. But for the time being, Lucas Howard has stayed out. Jamie Green's promoted to second. Although, there he goes, running wide. And that will not help things when you're trying to gain tenths of a second in the pit stops and you lose, well, maybe a second there. And Ekstrom going around the outside of him as well. So Eki getting past Green, telling him to push now. Now that he's got a clear track ahead of him, this is going to be an important couple of laps for the former champion.
Right, in comes Lucas Auer. This is the critical, crucial one, isn't it? He's been building up the gap, hasn't he? To give himself a cushion. He's in now. And the Muka team go to work. 3.2 is not shabby either, but we have seen quicker.
Yeah, that was okay. Spengler's come in, Martin's come in for their pit stops as well. Must be so hard. It's that intense 3 seconds, isn't it?
Oh, side by side with Eduardo Mortara there, but
Mortara, yeah, not yet been into the pits. So Ekstrom pushing on now. The last of the front runners to stay out. Green has stayed out as well. That mistake costing him a place. Could it cost him more once the pit stop settled down? Vitoris is still out as well. And up to 5th place, Nico Muller has yet to make a pit stop.
so there is the Audi. And you can see Lucas Auer there with Eduardo Mortara behind him. So the Timo Scheider car there, and we're on board now with Gary Paffett. Just coming onto the back of that little pack there with Robert Wickens and Timo Scheider. Timo Scheider, of course, not been in yet, so out onto the start-finish straight now for Gary Paffett. Great job the team did with his pit stop. Robert Wickens dives to the inside of Timo Scheider now. And that was a perfect execution of how to overtake through turn 1 by Robert Wickens.
Yeah, knows he can't afford to be delayed here. With others still to make their pit stops. He's trying to gain ground. Everybody's trying to gain ground on Lucas Auer, who'd be a pit crew member, though, Dave. You've got 3 seconds to get it right or wrong. You've got to rush. Part of your brain's telling you to rush and get everything done. And you're just trying to slow yourself down. Gary Paffett trying to get past Timo Scheider, but not succeeding at the moment.
They're absolutely welded together. This is going to be a real battle through the infield section here as Paffett and Scheider battling together. There's the DRS being deployed by Gary Paffett. Of course, Timo Scheider can do exactly the same, so uses it as a defense mechanism as well as Gary Paffett using it as an attack mechanism. So Paffett is going to get right alongside him here, but Scheider's going to have the right line, isn't he? But Paffett is carrying more speed. He's really harrying Timo Scheider ahead of him. Look at this, absolutely brilliant stuff from these two drivers. Been a bit of history between the two of them in terms of contact, but this is fantastic to watch. So DRS deployed once again now down the start-finish straight. Paffett is going to line up a move, takes to the inside right away. Look how those cars bounce down the start-finish straight here. And Gary Paffett, with all his experience, knows exactly where to put the car, as Robert Wickens did just 1 lap before to make that overtake.
Timo Glock making sure he gets ahead of Daniel Hunkadea as well. But yeah, I mean, Timo Scheider's not a back marker. That's for position. Yes, he's not had a pit stop yet, but he did have to move. Yes, use DRS to pull away this lap. That's a good point because Gary Paffett was behind as they started the lap. So his DRS is enabled because he's within a second of the car in front. So although he's not attacking anybody as such now, he's still got 3 boosts that he can use on this lap, and he might as well do that to try and close the gap back up to Robert Wickens. But look how much time he lost by being stuck behind Timo Scheider for a lap.
Absolutely right. Look at that car bounce down the start-finish straight here, but He'd set up that inside line early on, hadn't he? And just did that absolutely perfectly. And whilst that was going on, Timo Glock going through as well.
Yeah, on to get that BMW in front. Christian Matoris is into the pits down to make his stop. And there you can see the track map to show you where everybody is out on circuit. So Ekstrom still staying out for the time being is the leader of the race. Jamie Green is second, but they've yet to make their pit stops. Vitoris comes in from the top three to make his mandatory stop. Where will he come out? He's going to be behind Glock, but he's still going to be ahead of Wittmann by a couple of seconds here. So Wittmann, I think, was perhaps delayed on that lap as well.
Timo, you're racing Marco behind.
Fantastic shot, Dave, as they all whip through there. So Wittmann's early stop didn't really pay dividends there.
No. So there he is, the Marco Wittmann car, currently running in P11. So who has not stopped? Obviously Ekstrom, Green and Muller. Also Mortara, Scheider.
Squeeze everything out the next lap. Squeeze everything out, could be the in lap.
But this is Jamie Green in now. So it needs to be a good stop for Jamie Green, doesn't it? And you're absolutely right.
Green is in the pits now. Green is in the pits.
Pedestrian down the pit lane, isn't it?
Don't forget he lost that time when he just went off a couple of laps ago, dropped behind Ekstrom.
Well, the team didn't let him down, did they? 3.2.
Well, there's Paffett coming through. And he's going to filter in front of Timo Glock. So the time that Timo lost in the pit stop wasn't as much as the time, or was, sorry, it was more than the time that Jamie Green lost when he took a couple of wheels on the grass, wasn't it? And then Vitoris next one through. But where is Eki going to come in all of this, Dave? He's just staying out there as long as he can, nailing the times, different strategies to everybody else. Muller's up to second place now, and he's going to make a pit stop as well. Nico was hovering in around about 9th, 10th place, wasn't he, before the pit stop started?
Absolutely. Green has just put himself in front of Timo Scheider as well. A team radio from Matthias Ekstrom. So there you can see Green has got past Timo Scheider. Scheider yet to stop, and that means Green can get away up the road now in pursuit, effectively, of Gary Paffett.
Eki's hurry-up call works. He's just done his personal best lap. 1 minute 18.321. He is absolutely nailing this.
Scheider in front hasn't stopped yet, so Scheider still has to pit.
So Glock being advised of the fact that Scheider has got to pit yet, but this is Matthias Ekstrom, who is absolutely flying in the Audi, isn't he?
The tyres have lasted fine, haven't they? The car's a bit lighter than it was at the start of the race. It's just done a PB in sector 1. We've still got 10 minutes in which he could come into the pits. He doesn't have to come in yet. It's a 20-minute pit window, 20 to 40 minutes in this 1-hour race. I suppose, Dave, as long as he's setting these lap times, why does he need to come in yet? As long as he doesn't get up to traffic, he just might as well stay in his rhythm. The tyres are holding up absolutely fine for the time being.
And of course, he's you know, he's out on his own, isn't he? He's able to really pile in those fantastic lap times. So Ekstrom doing just that. There's Robert Wickens and Gary Paffett. Then the two Mercedes drivers, and on board through turn 1 with Matthias Ekstrom. Fantastic onboard shot. Just look how he left foot brakes, back down on the gas once again, and then heavy braking, turns in. Fantastic. Love that onboard.
Quickest man on the track at the moment is still, and it has been for the last 2 laps now, Lucas Auer, 1:18.0, 3/10 quicker than Ekstrom on the older tyres that leads the race, and half a second quicker than Muller, who's in second place. So Lucas is only 13.5 seconds behind Ekstrom. Ekstrom's still got to make a pit stop. So it's Ekstrom, Muller and Auer, the top 3. Mortara has yet to pit as well. And he's just done a personal best lap time, 1:18.3. The Italian in 4th place. Robert Wickens is the next driver that has pitted in order here. So you've got Auer, who's been in the pits, is 3rd. Wickens is 5th, has been in the pits. Paffett is 6th place and has also pitted. And Jamie Green has just set the fastest first sector of anybody in the race so far. the number 53 Audi, the Rosberg car. He runs in 7th place. There he is.
That's the first sub-26 first sector, isn't it? 25.932. And Glock all over the back of Timo Scheider. Timo Scheider yet to stop, of course. And Timo Glock in the BMW. He's currently running effectively P9. There is Maximilian Gertz.
That's Christian Matoris making a mistake, isn't it?
Not attack you at the moment.
Yeah, running wide there, and Mercedes losing the place. Through went Wittmann, that's for 10th place.
Glock then does get by Timo Scheider. So of those yet to pit, we've got Tombe, Scheider, Mortara, Muller, and Ekstrom. Just out of interest, what Muller's time is.
Here's Jamie Green. He's flying there. He's half a second quicker than anybody in front of him on that lap.
Extraordinary.
I think he's determined to make up for that little trip on the grass, isn't he?
Yeah.
A few laps ago.
Just look at that over the last 3 laps, how that gap has come down. So you're right, Jamie Green is really, really flying.
Now the tires start dropping.
Copy.
Never absolutely clear what Matthias says, unfortunately.
I think he said the tyres are dropping off, so he's probably bound for the pits. And he's right, 1 minute 18.5 almost, so he's dropped a couple of tenths here, so he feels can't go any further on these tyres.
Now is the time.
Going to have to come in and change now, because we're just going to lose time if I stay out here.
Right, just about half distance in the race. There is Parfit then, and the hard-charging Jamie Green behind him, and there, sure enough, team's getting ready. And Jürgen Abt on the pit wall, and let's go on board with Matthias Ekstrom now. Down through the gears. And the number 5 car of Matthias Ekstrom.
Another fastest first sector of the race for Jamie Green at the start of this lap.
Well, Eki stays out. Did wonder whether we were going to see him in on that occasion, but no, it's going to be another rotation before he does come in. The effective leader, if you like, is Lucas Auer, of course, and his times last lap was a 1:18.389.
Sort of comparable with those around him.
Yeah.
In fact, he's gained 3 tenths on the 2 ahead of him that have the older tyres on, yet to pit, Ekstrom and Muller. But the 2 quickest drivers generally are Jamie Green and Gary Paffett, and a new fastest lap of the race for Jamie Green in 7th place, 1 minute 7.8, half a second quicker than Gary Paffett, and he's now only 1 second behind him. He was 2.5 seconds behind him about 3 laps ago, wasn't he? Gary, you've got a fight on your hands, I think.
Yeah, he knows he's coming. And there you can see it's visibly closer, isn't it? Green getting closer to Paffett. Now, theoretically, I reckon it's going to be at the end of this lap that Ekstrom does come in.
So these 2 are, at the moment, 6th and 7th, but there are 2 ahead that have yet to pit. One of them should definitely fall in behind him, that's Muller.
Yeah.
But the other, Ekstrom, could well be in front of them, couldn't he? Depends how it's worked out. He should theoretically filter into the middle of them. He was just in front of Green, wasn't he, when Green went into the pits?
DRS active, DRS active.
So Green has the DRS, down goes the rear wing to give him that boost. Don't think he's close enough to take advantage of it on this occasion, Chris. Into turn 1, that's you know, the favourite place for overtaking here at the Lausitzring, but Green just not quite close enough to be able to do it on that occasion.
But the fact he can use it 3 times on the lap now is going to get him right onto the tail, so might just set it up for the lap after this one. And there's nobody in front of Gary, is there? So he's not going to be benefiting from DRS of his own. He's far too far behind Robert Wickens. He's nearly 2 seconds behind him.
On board once again with Matthias Ekström.
He's got a bit of pace back, actually. The last lap, 118.2, was as good as he's done.
He's staying out again. So while he can, he's got no traffic problems ahead of him, and he's still putting good lap times in. He's doing it, isn't he?
Losing a couple of tenths a lap, though, to Jamie Green and to Gary Paffett, who are the 2 drivers he's probably up against here. But then the longer he can leave it, Dave, the fresher his new set of tyres are going to be for the last few laps of the race.
And the longevity of them, of course, going to be better, isn't it? So Green again with the DRS deployed, and then it flicked back up again, but Gary doing a stoic job effectively here in defence with no DRS available to him.
Yeah. 18 degrees, the angle change on the rear wing to make it a much slicker proposition than the straight line, like having a boost of horsepower. And look at Jamie. Eyes focused on the Mercedes ahead of him. 8 tenths of a second now, the difference between them as they go into turn 6, and you can see that Gary Paffett is on the edge here to try and keep Jamie Green behind him.
Just the back end of the Green car stepped out a little bit there, didn't it? Now, of course, lots of drivers have been talking about the fact there's different rubber has been laid down on this track across the course of the race weekend that these spectators have so enjoyed. Such a variety of racing. There's out, there is Mortara. And then we see the Paffett-Green battle continues to rage here.
Yes, he is using it. He is using it.
Okay, follow Gary for the moment.
So Gary just double checking that the Audi was close enough to use its DRS. He doesn't know without confirmation from the team. And Team Rosberg telling Jamie Green just to stick with Gary Paffett for the moment because he's quick enough, I guess, and they are both catching those ahead.
Yeah.
So work together for the time being, see where you come.
At the end of the straight, Green is not close enough. You're doing a good job.
So Gary then doing everything he can to maintain his momentum and just keep Jamie Green at bay, but Jamie once again using the DRS to get ever closer to the Euronics liveried Mercedes-Benz ahead.
Push, Matthias, push. The next lap is your in lap. Push.
It has to be, doesn't it? Because
yeah.
we're almost into the final third of the race. So seconds away from the pit window closing. Ekström and Muller from first and second have got to come in. Mortara from fourth place has got to come in. And Timo Scheider from 11th place will have to come in as well.
So another couple of tenths. And Jamie is right on the back of Gary now. So the two Brits together here. And Timo Glock.
Matthias, box, 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 box. Push in lap will be tight at the exit.
Marco Wittmann ahead. And who's just saw in the back of the picture one car slow in there.
Yeah, yellow flag in sector 3. This is Marco Wittmann defending now from Timo Glock. They are currently, these two BMWs, running in 8th and 9th positions. They could well be moving to 7th and 8th with Nico Muller about to make his pit stop as well.
Right, in comes Ekström. So there is the track map for you. Ekström coming down the pit lane now. Paffett and Green just starting onto the start-finish straight. It was a good stop from the AB team, 3.2 seconds.
Don't think he's going to make it, is he?
No, he isn't. So Paffett and Green through ahead of Matthias Ekström as he rejoins behind the Audi of Jamie Green.
So Green effectively getting the place back that he lost for that couple of wheels on the grass. So the gamble, the different strategy attempted by Matthias Ekström and the team at Abt Sport, but in the end he's probably lost about a second overall, hasn't he?
Yes.
And it was just because he maybe just stayed out a bit too long, Dave, because Gary Paffett and Jamie Green were going really quickly for a few laps, weren't they? And they were gaining a couple of tenths of a second each time.
And there was no benefit, was there?
Yeah, I think staying out a bit longer was the right way to go in hindsight, but maybe if you come in about 3 or 4 laps ago, you might have had a better chance. But what, as I said, he is going to have is slightly fresher tyres than these two for the last 20 minutes of the race once they get up to speed.
So Ekström then, who can see the Jamie Green and Gary Paffett cars ahead of him on the start-finish straight now. Crosses the timing line. And Green dives to the inside of Gary Paffett this time. And Gary tries to get him on the undercut here. Not quite going to succeed. Oh, but Jamie Green with another mistake there where he ran just a little bit wide. And Matthias Ekström all over the back of Gary Paffett now. Matthias Ekström, of course, with the fresher tyres of the lot now. And the inside of Gary.
Ooh, that was deep into the corner, wasn't it?
It was deep.
That's finally through. Jamie Green ahead of the Mercedes of Gary Paffett. Matthias Ekström, he's going to be really menacing here now. He's got tyres which are something like 6 or 7 laps younger, aren't they, than the tyres on the car. I think it was on the car of the Mercedes of Gary Paffett. Muller has been in the pits, Mortara has been in the pits, so everybody now has completed their mandatory pit stop. Where is Muller going to re-coming all of this? This was the move, the DRS doing its job, good on the brakes. Gary tried to get him back on the way out of the corner, but the line was covered. He went a bit deep into the next corner, Jamie Green, but it was all fine. So that is going to put Lucas out, the race leader, by 6.5 seconds. Now all the pit stops have sorted themselves out. And Matthias Ekström, the next one to go past the Mercedes of Gary Paffett. Same move, almost identical to the move of Jamie Green. And that was almost inevitable, wasn't it? So it's Auer, Wickens and Green, the top 3. 4th is Matthias Ekström. 5th place now with that move is Gary Paffett. And Marco Wittmann has benefited. He's in 6th place. Christian Vittoris is 7th. Timo Glock in 8th place. Nico Muller 9th, where he was before the pit stops. And Bruno Spengler has come into the points, currently in 10th place, just a few seconds ahead of Tom Blomqvist in 11th.
So on board with Gary Paffett then, who has seen, just to look how Jamie Green has escaped up the road now, and Matthias Ekström about to do the same, one would assume. Paffett defending for all that he was worth, but inevitably those two Audis going past the Mercedes, and well, that was a bit of a bungled stop there, wasn't it? Because Nico Muller was on his way out, Eduardo Mortara on his way in. That's why.
Yeah, that was the Abt team with 2 to come in late, right next to each other.
Oh, and the engineer being, I didn't see that in the first shot, the engineer just being touched by the Edo Mortara car. Sorry to see that. Right, our race leader is Lucas Auer, who has a 6.3 second advantage over his Mark mate Robert Wickens, and out is the Daniel Juncadea car. And also out is Maximilian Gertz.
Yes. Mercedes stopped. We got one of them stopped on the infield section through turns 4 and 5, so well out of the way. Shouldn't be an issue.
Nico Muller then in P9 behind Timo Glock. Nico Muller, one of the last of the late stoppers, of course, going to be on much fresher rubber than Timo Glock, and carrying the BMW ahead of him. You can see. So Auer leading from Robert Wickens, then it's Green, Ekström, before we see Paffett, and the best of the BMWs is Marco Wittmann in P6. Timo Glock, the car we're watching right now, is P8, being Pushed and pushed and pushed by the Nico Müller car there.
Clipped the barrier, didn't he, I think?
Here comes the DRS for Nico Müller. Timo hugging the inside to prevent Müller going down the inside, but he didn't hug it quite enough because Müller is through, isn't he? He's alongside Timo Glock, and he's going to go through into turn 1. Can he scrub the speed off? Can he make the move count? Yes, he can. Good drive there. Good overtake from Nico Müller.
Nicely done. Slow zone 3 deployed because of the stricken car that we've got. So they will have to, the press of a button, limit the speed of the cars through the slow zone section. No overtaking. It's like a virtual safety car type zone.
If you think it's pedestrian down the pit lane, you wait till you get into a slow zone.
Yeah, it looks like they've got a problem, doesn't it, when you see them, how slow they become. And this is it, into the slow zone. No overtaking and cruising round. So Lucas Auer, 6.1 seconds clear.
No grip on the rear, no grip.
That's Timo Glock.
Copy that. Try to survive. 12 more laps.
Yeah, I mean, not much you can do.
How many laps?
12.
Can't come in and put more tyres on. You're going to lose too much time, aren't you? I thought he did. He glanced the barrier, didn't he? Said he'd got no grip. That was just about as close as you can get without damaging the car, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't help his traction onto the straight, and so Müller was able to get through with the DRS. He didn't like that, did he?
No.
Must be a Timo Glock fan.
Right, so Animal Tara are going to be reported to the stewards. Slow zone still in operation.
Tara presumably for that incident in the pits with the mechanic.
Absolutely.
Wasn't it?
So this is Christian Vittoris on the back of Marco Wittmann. It's a P6 battle. It's Wittmann in P6 and Vittoris, who is at P7. It's fantastic splitter cam on the front of the Christian Vittoris Mercedes. There is Christian hard at work inside that car.
This is them coming into the slow zone now.
It's just virtually stopped, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like hitting glue, isn't it? It's the stricken car is on the exit to, well, it's on the run into turn 8 essentially. It's between turn 7 and turn 8. But I think it's almost out of the way now, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Mercedes, so that will be pretty quickly back underway. It's Sancadeo's car. The Spaniard's car's been moved. While this has been happening, Lucas Auer's lead has been dwindled a little bit from 6.5 to 5.4 seconds by Robert Wickens. Auer 142.0, 141.3 for Wickens last time around, 7/10 quicker. It's not that close yet, but it's worth keeping an eye on. A look at Christian Vittoris now, gets on the gas, and he's all over the back of Marco Wittmann here in this battle for 6th place. Wittmann is just making that BMW as wide as he possibly can. We saw how good he was at defending yesterday for the whole of race 1. He had Mercedes queued up behind him, including the Mercedes of Christian Vittoris. But Wittmann now might come under pressure here because DRS is deployed, and look as he gets closer, closer, closer here. Christian Vittoris inside, outside, back to the inside. Sparks fly. He dives down past the 2014 champion, runs wide, straight on. Vittoris gives it back away. Wittmann back through to 6th place. Good effort, but just a bit too much speed, and Marco Wittmann carries on in 6th place.
Wittmann certainly didn't make that easy for him, did he? But in fairness, why the heck should he? You know, he really had to take a tight inside line. He probably, well, no probably about it. He left braking to the very, very last minute. Well, it was too late last minute, wasn't it? Because bounce, 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 lock up now. And Wittmann was always going to be able to take advantage of that, wasn't he? And
yeah,
there you can see.
The irony is, when you've got that DRS deployed, you actually need to brake a bit earlier than you normally would because you're carrying that much more speed into the corner than you normally would. Slow zone still deployed. Fans enjoying this one. And again, a couple of tenths. Robert Wickens has just taken out of Lucas Auer, so gap's crept down to 5.2 seconds now. 9 minutes to go. Lucas has just got to keep it together here for his first win in DTM. And actually, Dave, pretty much certain we're going to, well, we should get our 6th different winner out of 6 races, because our Wickens, Green, Ekstrom, Paffett, the top 5, get to win races.
Yeah.
So we should do, shouldn't we?
Well, on board with Bruno Spengler now. Chasing down Timo Glock. So Spengler in the final points paying position at the moment, isn't he, in P10. Downshifting, turn in for turn 1. And here's Matthias Ekstrom in replay on Jamie Green. Super slow-mo through turn 1, easy peasy.
Yeah, pretty straightforward that, wasn't it? Jamie gave him the room as well, to be fair to him, didn't it?
So back in the slow zone again.
Yeah, we've got the Mercedes.
Is that car gone yet?
No, he's got Mercedes. I thought it was.
We have 7 minutes to go. 7 minutes. We will recalculate when the slow zone is finished.
Yeah, because that will affect how many laps they can squeeze in. Yeah, the Mercedes Van Gardea is up on a crane now and about to be put onto the flatbed. I thought it had been gone a couple of laps ago, but it should be. Next lap, we should be clear, I think, Dave.
Okay. Look how much quicker Ekstrom is than Jamie Green. Already opened up 3 or 4 car lengths, hasn't he? Here is Jamie Green, who we're on board with. So the race order then is our Wickens, Ekstrom, Green, Paffett. Marco Wittmann, P6.
Slow zone ending, slow zone ending.
Right.
Goodness for that.
Now, although he's just dropped out of the podium positions with that replay we saw of Ekstrom coming past, Jamie Green qualified 7th this morning. If he can finish 4th, that's a 2nd, a 3rd and a 4th from his last 3 races. That is the sort of form that's going to put him right back in the championship fight, because it's the consistency that will be key this year, not the number of race wins you're getting, because they're all sharing out the race wins this year, aren't they?
So this was Bruno Spengler on Timo Glock with the DRS assist, and through the BMW bank car went, and on board from the Timo Glock car, there's the all-black machine, the left-hand side, and now right ahead. And from Bruno Spengler's perspective, this is a good shot, isn't it?
Perfect.
Yeah.
So that was for 9th place. There he is, Dave. We haven't seen him for a while. Look at that, the race leader. 4.9 seconds. Just a word of caution, the gap's 6.5 to 4.9 seconds in the last 5 minutes or so of the race. Is he just controlling things, Dave, or should we start to worry?
Well, I'd like to say that I think he's controlling things, and whether perhaps that where Wickens was able to gain a bit was perhaps his reaction off the back of the slow zone was better than Lucas's, maybe.
Yeah, with that bit more experience.
Perhaps. But there is our race leader. You can just see into shot then the P2 car. What I think I'd be more concerned about is how quick Ekstrom is gaining on Robert Wickens.
That might just help out Lucas out, mightn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Because Ecky's going to be on the back of Robert Wickens. So what have we got? 4.5 and a bit minutes left to run, plus a lap.
Yeah, he was 6/10 quicker last time around. There he is, Matthias Ekstrom. The man, bar a couple further down the order with the freshest tyres out now, having pitted really late. So it was a good call, wasn't it, after all? And Paul de Resta is struggling on a nightmare weekend Paul has had. Coming into the weekend, riding high, 2nd in the championship, and he's not going to pick up any points at all from the Lausitzring.
So Robert Wickens then, for the remaining 4 minutes plus a lap, is going to show us how to make a Mercedes as wide as possible, I would think, in trying to deny Matthias Ekstrom. Of course, we haven't actually heard a lot on team radio with regards to who's got what DRS left.
No, they were running out in the first race yesterday, weren't they?
Yeah.
But not so today.
Into Max's garage,
Now, Dave, Marco Wittmann leading the championship, 47 points. Sixth place, more good points score for him. Edo Motara is out of the points, isn't he? Second in the championship. Paul the rest of third in the championship, out of the points. Fourth place in the championship, Robert Wickens. He's on for 18 points here.
Right.
And that is going to potentially, I think, get him into the championship lead here.
Well, at the moment, he is a bigger battle, rather than your points calculation, is going to be trying to hold at bay Matthias Ekstrom, I think. And I think that's going to be a big ask. It's whether Matthias can get close enough. DRS, of course, he's got available to him if he's got any left, because there is only a certain amount that they can use. Look at this. Gap has gone, look, 5/10 in the space of a lap. So Eki is getting very, very much closer to Robert Wickens, isn't he?
Yeah, a couple of tenths quicker last time around. Closed, but not, you know, to the rate that he closed the lap before. So Robert's responding here as best he can. 1:18.7 for Wickens.
So extra is in DRS range.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? He's now going to pick up the DRS as well, Dave. So, and Matthias Ekstrom, not the sort of driver that's going to sit there and settle for third place if second place is on the cards.
Of course not. So DRS being deployed by Matthias, you can see. So Robert Wickens then will do everything he can to try and defend. There's Hans-Jürgen Abt looking on. And there is the driver, Matthias Ekstrom. Across the curbs. And virtually on the back now. Is he going to line something up into turn one? He's going to have DRS.
to go, 3 laps.
It's going to be a big ask for Robert Wickens to hold him off for 3 laps, I think. Look how close he is, and just wonder whether Jamie Green's going to get a run on him as well. Robert just tries to squeeze over and make it more difficult. Matthias is an old, wise driver, though. He certainly doesn't carry too much through there and run wide, does he?
Good effort, that, wasn't it?
Job done.
Millimetre perfect from the former champion to get past Robert Wickens. So, second place now for him. So, since he came out of the pits, he's got past Paffett, Green, and now Wickens.
Now, is Jamie Green going to be able to get on him? There you can see the DRS being deployed. That was job done, wasn't it? So Wickens now, who's on the third step of the podium for the moment. Look how Eki is up the road now. And Jamie Green closing. So Robert Wickens, the Canadian racer there in the Mercedes-Benz. Jamie Green in the Audi. The crowd look on as...
Jamie's going to be in DRS zone here, isn't he?
Yep.
Surely, as they go across the line. Yeah, he's 0.7 behind him, so DRS he can use 3 times on this lap. Wrestling the wheel here to try and get his third consecutive podium on the bounce. But do you risk it all for a podium and a few more points? Or do you settle, bank the points? Which not many people are doing on a consistent basis this year.
Active.
Well, he's being told DRS is active. That's as good as saying go for it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So, Wickens then, who really had nothing to do in terms of defence against Matthias Ekstrom, is going to have the same problem with Jamie Green now. So as we watch them through this infield section of the Lausitzring circuit, before rejoining the oval and the start-finish straight, it's now that Jamie Green can deploy that DRS, and well, Robert Wickens is going to be very, very vulnerable. We're on to the last lap. Can he hold off for one more lap? Can he make that Mercedes wider than ever before? Well, Jamie wasn't close enough, so...
Yeah, Robert was good on the brakes, wasn't he? Personal best lap of the race for, guess who? Matthias Ekström. 7/10 quicker than the race leader last time around. 4.2 seconds, though, should be more than enough for this man, Lukas Auer, the 21-year-old Austrian, who's only had a couple of sixth-place finishes so far. He was 7th yesterday. He's not been on the podium as yet. He's going to miss out steps 3 and 2. And Dave, it looks like he's going to go straight to the top here with his first win of the season, his first win in his DTM career.
It would be an absolute fairy tale, wouldn't it, for Lukas Auer? And it's but a few meters for him to do that. Did all the hard work, to be fair to him, in qualifying, and then he's been absolutely exemplary in the race, hasn't he? And shown great pace. And he's got one more turn and then the straight to achieve it and to take the win. Lukas Auer heads towards the checkered flag. Well, the Mucke team will erupt with delight as Lukas Auer takes the win. It's a good drive from Matthias Ekström to take P2, and Robert Wickens does hold on for P3. I said they'd erupt.
They went ballistic when they got pole position, didn't they? So goodness knows what it's going to be like down there on the podium with their win.
There is Peter Mucke. He's trying to get up there onto the pit wall. Is a loyal and hard-working team of people that have propelled that Lukas Auer car to the race win, and still they're crossing the line. It's Auer, Ekström, Wickens, the 1, 2, 3, then Green, Paffett, Wittmann, Vitoris, Muller, Spengler, Timo Glock, the top 10. And then we see Blomqvist, Mortara, Martin de Costa, Ocon, Timo Scheider, and Uli Fritz must be a delighted man. Lukas Auer takes the win. He's with Verena now.
Congratulations to a perfect race from Lukas Auer. Who would have thought? He really did a job perfectly. However, Wickens just lost his 2nd place in the last minute and his 3rd place, but you've got to be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. We are more than happy. I'm so happy for Luki for his first DTM race win. I'm especially happy for the Mucke team, who have done a great job this weekend, the whole weekend, and yeah, they just deserved it. It's their first win in DTM, and yeah, I'm really happy for the whole team. And yeah, just a shame for Robert, but yeah, I think Ekström had the much newer wheels, and therefore it was just difficult to defend the position. But all in all, I think we have to be happy with P1 and P3, and yeah, then we will see what we can do in Lausitzring.
Very curious about that. Thank you very much, Uli Fritz, and back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Verena. Well done for getting Uli so quickly. Lukas Auer taking the win then from Matthias Ekström, and Robert Wickens securing P3, Jamie Green P4, then it was Paffett, Wittmann, Vitoris, Muller, Spengler, then it was Glock, Blomqvist, and Mortara before we find Martin, Felix da Costa, Ocon, Scheider, Rockenfeller, Tomczyk, Molina, Tom Bay, and we lost De Resta, Junkadea, Gertz, and Augusto Farfus. Well done, Lukas Auer. A very good, resounding victory. And, well, you can tell from Uli Fritz, he's absolutely delighted for Peter Mucke and the team, who have worked hard, haven't they? And, well, Lukas Auer has looked quick in pre-practice, and then, you know, looked good in, I mean, looked more than good in qualifying, obviously, by putting the car on pole position. And
that's nice.
Look at that, being congratulated by Matthias Ekström. That's fantastic.
That's the driver with the most wins in DTM,
absolutely.
up against somebody getting his first. I'm sure Matthias remembers what it was like to get that first win. And he's a really likeable chap, isn't he, Lukas Auer?
Oh, look at this.
Brilliant.
Oh, that is wonderful to see. Absolutely wonderful. Well done, Lukas Auer.
First win for him, first for Mucke Motorsport. Robert Wickens congratulates him as well.
Uncle Gerhard will be very pleased.
He will. Right, that's 19 out of 24 drivers in this field that have now been race winners in DTM. Has there ever been more strength in depth in this championship?
That's fantastic, isn't it?
Well, that was flawless. For somebody who's not used to leading DTM races, looked like he'd been doing it all his life, didn't he?
An excellent victory for Lukas Auer. Just consistent, got the pace, hadn't he? And was able to, you know, as you say, with his relative to others, lack of experience in DTM, he was able to command everything, being congratulated there by Norbert Haug. Wow. Team positively almost engulf him.
Do you know, it's so refreshing to see teams celebrating and enjoying and relishing a victory like that. You know, you see sometimes in sport,
what are you saying?
People get
not commonplace.
Well,
Mr.
not
Hartley?
necessarily always in sport as general, isn't it? People get win races and you know, they always celebrate, but it becomes, you know, a bit less of a thrill for them. But to see a team and a driver taking their first victory, that's fantastic. There you go then. Robert Wickens has still done enough to move into the championship lead despite losing second place at the end of the race. Marco Wittmann second on 55. Matthias Ekström luck up to third place on 46. And Jamie Green, very good weekend. He's come from, what was he, down in, out of the top 10, I think, before the start of the weekend, up into fourth spot. Just keep banging in those points. That's 3 very good results on the trot now for Jamie Green. Wasn't very far behind the podium in the end, was he? 4/10 of a second.
So the focus of the intention on Lucas Auer at the moment. And as we take some super slow-mos to the top 3 then, this was Robert Wickens, who, stealth-like, is doing the job, isn't he? So Robert Wickens taking P3 in his C63 DTM car. Very, very good drive from Matthias Ekström. Perhaps the only flaw in the strategy was staying out a little bit too long before coming in for the mandatory pit stop, but a flawless drive from the Mucke driver, Lucas Auer, who has taken his first DTM win, and Peter Mucke breathes a sigh of relief, doesn't he, at last.
This is one of their home races, as we've said as well. Berlin, where the team's from, only about an hour's drive from here. Fabulous. They've got a new start. Proves the point there about consistency, doesn't it? Robert Wickens leads the championship. He hasn't won a race yet this season. 3 podiums, 4-point scores. This year, that's going to be enough. Get the odd race win as well. That'll do the job.
Yep. One of the nicest things we saw was Matthias Ekström straight away to go and congratulate Lucas Auer. He's with Verena now.
Eki, you did a phenomenal race, coming from P9 to P2, up on the podium. How happy are you about your success?
Yeah, I think it was a very good race for me. I mean, I started again in the back, P9, but felt pretty early on. We had a good car, so I just waited for everybody to pit, tried to save my tires in the beginning. And as soon as everybody pitted, I knew it's happy hour if you want to be on the podium. And in the end, it was close. I think we had a little slow pit stop, but I could get past Jamie and Gary reasonably fast and start catching up Robert.
Did a great job. Thank you so much, Eki, and back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Verena. So we watch once again the celebrations from Lucas Auer, taking his win here at Lausitz. As you say, it's like a home victory for Mucke, isn't it?
I think it's going to be quite a noisy podium, Dave. It's already noisy. They haven't even got them up there yet.
And congratulated by Robert as well, as you could see. Shut up, you lot. Come on. Got the podium to do first. Then you can be making some noise. So podium being ready then, and up there we'll see Lucas Auer, Matthias Ekström and Robert Wickens. And here he comes then. This is when the noise will start. Lucas Auer is loving every minute of it, and why shouldn't he? Well done, Lucas Auer. Top step of the podium for you, sir.
Great sportsmanship again.
Yeah, I agree.
From Matthias Ekström. Another 20 wins, Lucas. You can catch me up. Might be a while. And there's the new championship leader, Dave.
Extraordinary.
Robert Wickens, yeah.
As you say, it's all about consistency, isn't it? And it's Peter himself that's up there for the team. Look how pleased he is. National anthem. So the national anthem plays out for Lucas Auer. Maximilian Gertz down there to offer his congratulations as well. And ADAC Sport President Mr. Herman Tomczyk making the trophy presentation to Lucas Auer.
Beaming from ear to ear, I think is the expression, isn't it?
Yeah. Portuguese ambassador in Germany then making the trophy presentation to Peter Mucker. And Mr. Eric Lesser, the biathlon double world champion there. Matthias is pretty happy with that, isn't he?
Great drive, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It's great to watch when he goes in the attack like that, isn't he,
yeah.
Nicky?
And Mr. Richard Freitag, the Nordic World Ski Champion, makes the trophy presentation to Robert Wickens, who leads the points.
Yeah, Paul de Resta led the points on Friday. Yesterday, it was Marco Wittmann. Today, it's Robert Wickens. It's going to be a bit like that all season, I think.
He was going for the Henkel Trocken too early.
Yeah.
Steady on.
Matthias, yeah. Watch out, Lucas. Although he congratulated you, I think Matthias has got a plan here with the champagne. Oh, he's
oh, look,
he's
Wickens even holding him. Brilliant.
Sorry, boss.
Oh, fantastic.
Now, you've got to be careful here, because Timo Glock posted something on social media at the start of the weekend saying, when you win a race, be careful you don't offer to buy the team dinner. And then a photocopy of a receipt, which was about 600 euros for a meal. Yeah. So don't do it, Lucas. Get yourself on that plane as quick as you can. It's going to cost you otherwise.
Yes. 600 euros later. Oh, blast, I wish I'd never said that. Oh, fantastic. Really nice sportsmanship between all three of them, though.
Yeah, great.
That's fantastic to see.
But Audi have had a good day again when they closed the gap, almost half the gap to BMW in terms of the Manufacturers' Championship to 56 points before that race. They picked up good points as well today in this one, so it's going to be pretty tight with the manufacturers as they go into the next event at the Lausitzring.
Different circuit altogether there. Well, congratulations from us here in the commentary booth to our race winner, Lucas Auer, with Verena now.
Here's a soaking wet but really, really happy Lucas Auer. You certainly did a perfect race. You did a phenomenal start and then you just aced it. How do you feel?
I was incredible. The start was so important. Everything went well. Huge congratulations to Mercedes and Müke. They just deserved it. We deserved it. It was awesome. I drove every lap like qualifying.
Yep, and your team was already celebrating you after qualifying, so I guess they had a good feeling in their stomach, didn't they?
Yeah,
they knew you would win.
We'll see what will come tonight. Then we will celebrate, but no, it was incredible. Everything perfect.
Yep, so enjoy the feeling. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you, Verena.
Sounds like they might be off to the pub later, Dave.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Fair enough.
I think you might be right there. Well, Matthias making sure that Lucas did enjoy those celebrations, and it was really good to see as we take some super slow-mos of the car that propelled him to his first win in his DTM career. Lucas Auer, former single-seater star, of course, and now making a name for himself in DTM and making that name even more viable now by having posted the first win. So, championship leader now. Congratulations. Here's Robert Wickens with Verena.
I'm here with a very happy Robert, I think, because not only 2 podiums on a weekend, but also you're leading the whole pack. So how happy are you right now?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, first time in my DTM career to be leading a championship. So, no, it's fantastic. It's a little, I really wanted to keep second there to get a 1-2 for Mercedes, but Eki was so strong. I didn't want to risk too much. And then luckily I was able to stay on the podium because Jamie was right there. So, but 2/3 this weekend, I mean, yeah, really happy.
I guess you did everything right.
Maybe not everything. It's not 2 wins, but no, it's. I can't thank my guys enough. You know, it's so easy in DTM to make a small mistake and be out of the points completely. So the fact that we put in 2 strong results here today and yesterday, it's almost a dream come true.
Enjoy the dream come true, almost. So back to you.
Very grounded and rounded there. It wasn't absolutely perfect. It wasn't 2 wins, but even so, to be leading the championship is indeed a fantastic position for Robert Wickens to find himself in.
That's right, yeah. 5th was his best previous championship finish in 2013, a race winner 3 times in DTM, but as he says, leading the points for the first time after 3 events. Fantastic stuff.
Okay, so from us up here, what a great race that was, and stand by, Norrisring is on its way. Here's Verena once again.
Thank you so much to you both, and well, we're going to see you all in 3 weeks at Norrisring, so I hope you enjoyed the race weekend as much as we did, and here are the highlights of the day. See you in 3 weeks. Bye-bye.